One of the issues that I see regularly is people trying to address their posture when they're not addressing their actual posture. So if you have been told you're in sway, which is here and leaning back, that's a sway posture. Basically, sway means that your hips are forward and you're either tucked under and leaning back, or you could be tucked this way and leaning back. And that is typically what we call a sway posture. Your hips are forward of your center of gravity. Now, I see a whole heap of people who have been told that they are lordotic. Lordotic means that your curvature here is increased. Now, technically, when you're lordotic, your curvature in your lower back is increased. So this lower lumbar curve is increased. So your lordotic posture will have a very deep curve in their spine. To correct that, if you are a true lordotic posture, you will want to flatten out that curve a little bit so it sits a bit more in your natural lazy S shape as opposed to in that deep C curve shape. Now, if you are true lordotic, your correction would be just correcting and lengthening your lower back. What I see is that people who are lengthened already in sway but hinging back, so it's given the appearance of a lordosis, are actually hinges. They're hinging at the thoracolumbar joint here. They're not actually lordotic at all. What we call that is they are a thoracolumbar hinge. They're already in a lengthened position here and in sway, and to counterbalance the fact that they're in sway, they lean backwards. And these have been misdiagnosed as lordosis. Now, if you are already in that tucked position, you're just forward and you're here, and your correction is to tuck under even more, you just exacerbate the problem you're already having, because the problem for tuck, sway, hinge is not to lengthen even more, because it creates an even worse problem. The correction for here and hips forward is to make sure you bring your weight and your hip joints back under your gravity line, and then it sort of helps to self-correct to a certain extent. We might need to tweak it, but that's a completely different management to being told to lengthen and lower, because your lengthen and lower makes that problem worse. So this is the big thing that I need you to be aware of, that if you haven't had an accurate diagnosis or an accurate assessment done for your posture, what you think you are doing to make it better is probably making you worse, and actually making your posture here compound, and you'll end up getting more low back pain here because you're creating more pressure here, but then you also end up getting more of a pokey chin and more of upper traps problems, because there's nothing here holding you up. In this position of sway hinge, you can't activate and access your glute muscles because you're working on your hip flexors, which are going to get tight. You can't access your core muscles because they're sitting here and they need to be underneath you and active and supporting you, rather than hanging out basically. So if you have a problem where you are concerned about your posture and you have been told that you are lordotic, let me tell you, I've been a physio for 30 years. The percentage of people I have seen that are a true lordotic is minimal. There is very, very few people these days that are actually true lordotics, and I could probably count them on my hand in the past 2 years that I've seen. Most people that I've seen have been misdiagnosed as lordotic, and they have managed that as a lordotic problem, which has made their back worse. So please, if you need an accurate assessment, get an accurate assessment done, and one that makes sense in your head, because if what you're doing to correct is not making it better and it's making it worse, you're probably tackling the wrong thing. If you would like, I do postural assessments, and I can do those online, and I do really good postural assessments, because at the end of the day, it is about you moving towards where you want to be, and we don't want to correct a faulty posture by an active faulty posture.